Physics Practicals Video 3. Now we are going to discuss about the analyzing part of the collected data. So now uh, you can use the data that you have collected from an experiment, but like in AS level, or else you will have to use the data that would be provided to you. So then you will have to you need to analyze it and reach conclusions at the end of it. Then you will have to you might want to give the details of any derived quantities, and along with the derived units and whatnot. So all of these things are going to be important. Now when you are dealing with these kind of things, the first thing that you need to do is take out the formulas that you have used, or formulas that you are trying to prove using this particular experiment formula, or the equation that you are going to use to make this relationship. So now, for example, in the balloon example that we discussed earlier, we realized that tan theta is inversely proportional to v squared. So that is going to be the formula that we are going to develop is tan theta equals k upon v squared, and k is going to be a constant. So we will have to plot a graph to get a straight line. So always focus on straight lines, because straight lines are what we should try to get, so that we can actually show the relationship. So if you draw this in the form of y equals mx plus c, and even in AS level we discussed about y equals mx plus c type of graphs. So the in this particular situation, y-axis is should be tan theta, and x-axis should be 1 upon v squared. So the purpose of this is just an example. You will have to develop your own graph to give out the details, so that relationships can be established. Then when plotting the graph, you will have to name the axis, and you will have to explain, in a summary form. You might want to, now if you look at all the graphs that have been given, underneath that you will see a very clear description of what it represents and what you can expect from the graph. Then you have to establish that the relationship is going to be valid if the graph gives a straight line through the origin. So that is, this is in relation to the graph that we have, the situation that we have discussed already. But it would be a whole different story when you come to another question. So it is relatable, and it is relative. So please make sure that you take them appropriately. So it will help you a lot when you go through the marking schemes of the questions that has already been given in the past papers. So please look at the marking schemes. That will help you a lot. Now then, coming to more complicated analysis of data that we have been given. Now in AS level we discussed how to interpret the y equals mx plus c equation, and how to relate it to a straight line graph, and drawing it to find out the constants m and c. So now there would be other graphs that would give us the ax to the power n. That means the parabolas would be considered as well. And also y equals ae to the power kx. So we will have to use logarithms to do this, and this is going to be very very important. And you will have to, once again, like I said earlier, you will have to go through the earlier marking schemes to have an understanding of how these things have been answered in the question papers. Now there are two types of logarithms: natural logarithm, or logarithm to the base e, which is written as ln, Then you have logarithm to the base, which is written as LG. The ln type is used most often when we are talking about exponential formulas such as e to the power kx. But if not, we can use it for simple calculations. We can use any of these things. Now, uh, we have to figure out what to use by looking at the question, because if it is related to exponential formulas, then we have to use the ln format, right? And if you have used ln, don't go to use lg in the other questions, other parts of the same question, because it might confuse you. Then this is once again, even though this looks complicated, it is not going to be a very complicated thing if you get it right in the in the first instance. If you understand which is to be used and which you are going to make the relationship, and what relationship is to be developed, that is not going to be any difficult. It is going to be really easy if you get the hang of it. So to get the hang of it, you have to practice, and please study through the reference materials at the end of this lesson, and also the past papers and its marking schemes. There is no other way other than to study the marking schemes and read some of the materials that I would be sharing with you. The practical materials, you will have to read them to try and figure out how to answer these questions. Uh, the uh, the materials that I'll be sending you, you will have to use them for about uh, you have to read them a couple of times. Then that will become easier for you to understand these things. Now, when you take the quantity involving logarithms, um, uh, we have to express it in a certain way. Now, for example, if you measure uh, if measure some quantity, let's say quantity s is measured in meters, that displacement is measured in meters, but if you take the natural logarithm of that, it will be written as ln s upon m, right? So this is how you present it, right? This is how you present it. And these things are not the way to write it, right? So please make sure that you know the correct format of how we express these things. So the unit is written inside the bracket with the quantity, so that you need to understand. Um, then to find the logarithms of the equations of the form y equals ax to the power n and y equals a to the power kx, uh, you need to know, and when doing it, you need to remember you must remember the rule. That is, if you do the same operation to any to both sides of the equation, nothing happens to the equation uh, uh, at large. Now, when you take the equation y equals x to the power n, we take the logarithms of both sides. Natural logarithm o to the base 10, you get lgy equals lga plus n lgx, right? So ln y equals ln a plus n ln x. I suppose you understand this from the logarithmic equations and logarithmic details that you have learned from your earlier lessons. If you do not understand this, or if you have any difficulty, or if you have any doubt with regards to this, please ask me. Then I will explain the logarithm calculation part as well. So now we take the equation y equals a to the power kx. Then if you take the logarithms of both sides, we get ln y equals ln a plus kx. So it's going to be quite easy. So the logarithmic rules that we have to use are: log of a product is log ab equals log a plus log a b. Log a to the power b equals log a equals a minus log b. Then log of a power is log a to the power n equals n log a. So these are rules that we have learnt in O levels. At least Yeah, mathematics. This is you have not learned this. This is in the local syllabus. If you have doubts, once again tell me. But these are the simple rules that you need to remember. Log of a product, uh, log AB can be written as log of A plus log of B, right? So if you have doubts, please ask. Now, I would suggest that you do question number 4 and 5. Do this so that you would know how the answers are taken.